Hello, America. Um, I've been thinking about making this video for a while, and I'm just, I'm just gonna speak off the top of my head about a lot of, well, primarily about what's going on right now with the current flashpoint about police brutality and race relations. Um, my spiel is not really gonna be. It's mostly gonna come from the side you're probably not going to hear, and it's not gonna be from the other side you think of either. Because my spiel is this. I think, and knowing our history as a people, I have to take that account as well, because a lot of what's going on, it does play into that. I'm well aware of our history of enslavement, and our relations to police and civil rights, all that stuff. But right now, um, I'm just not buying what I'm seeing, basically, because I'm just seeing more and more stuff that's, at least from my perspective, pointing out what's really to come in the near future. Um, and speaking about currently of the whole controversy over George Floyd, um, I've seen the video. I think it was unfortunate. No one should die regardless of the situation. Even if he resisted, it doesn't matter. He's still a guy who has his right. His rights still matter. He's a human being. No one's perfect in this world. And more than that, um, I think it doesn't justify. I think protesting is fair. That makes reasonable sense. If you wanted to demand some changes into how police interact with us, not just black people, but people in general. Yes, we should promote some kind of reforms, meaningful, constructive reforms. Um, but about the protesting, some of that stuff I do agree with in terms of the reforms I'm referring to, asking for change and all that. But I will not tolerate is this idea that more violence justifies immediate action, basically. Um, we, we just not, we should be better than this by now. We should not be trying to tear up our own communities because of understandable frustrations. Um, this is should be beyond us as people and just Americans, human beings as we are. Um, and more than that, I think on the subject of police brutality, we should be talking about other cases of police brutality. We should be talking about, like, there's Kelly Thomas or Thompson. I can't remember his name right now. He was in the public eye briefly for some point, and then there were other situations where other people haven't got nearly this much attention in the media in the last few weeks. Um, and I'll also say that, and I don't really support the police, that especially their tactics, and I do have problems with with the authorities in charge. Um, but I should say I think we should acknowledge that police are human beings as well, and I'm referring to I believe his name is David Dorn. He was this black police officer who was also killed during the protests, um, and he was, as far as I'm aware, doing his job. And regardless, that I think basically I think all lives should matter, and I don't care if the person is a police officer or any person for that matter, regardless of their skin color, whatever, what have you. No one deserves to have their life taken or their life diminished. Um, but now for the stuff that I really want to get into is that I get the whole thing about Black Lives Matter trying to be a movement and trying to spark some kind of change. But one thing I would say is we need to be careful what kind of change you wish for in the world, because whatever change you might try to demand, um, it may not be what you expected to be or even wanted. Um, and I'm just seeing more and more stuff going on, more events taking place that to me point to signs of what's really to come. And I hate to say that, but it's getting to the point where I'm thinking all this stuff about race, class, what have you, in the near future, it's probably going to be have less and less meaning as we used to think it did. Um, and I can only point at, you might have heard of this robot Sophia that was introduced like 4 or 5 years ago, and uh, right now the robot, you can tell it's a machine, but 5, 10 years from now you might not be able to tell any longer. And to me, this just points out what the future really brings, because I'm going to point out that, in my perspective, pretty soon no lives will matter as things continue going in the route I think it will be going. Um, People forget that technology catches up very quickly. Um, just look at computer, look at your console, your phone. It only took a couple decades for those technologies to become more advanced and sophisticated within a relatively short period of time. So just think about that and think about um, what the future will bring with all these other developing technologies. Um, right now, our economy is in crisis because of this COVID stuff, if you want to call it a real thing. Um, but I mean, just look at the economy. We have, last I checked, it was like 40 something million people who are out of work. Um, and to me, I think that's even more concerning because people need to be working in order to have a fulfilling life, be able to provide for their families, what have you. And to me, that's just driving like this crisis that's soon to come in the future. So I think we really need to reflect and really dig deep into who we think we are and our true place in this world, because time is running short for us all. We really need to reassess our position in this world. Come on, man. The robots are coming. I'm just pointing it straight out, and it's not going to be very long before that happens. So I think, I mean, especially if you're going to talk about race and all that, we need to put that in perspective, and we also have to kind of see a nuanced position on that because we're not special. Anybody, black or white, is going to be oppressed at some point in their lives, feel some kind of oppression. Hell, the dollar in your pocket is basically controlling you. Especially if you're on the wage, if you get paycheck to paycheck and be on the wage-based system. And very soon, this dollar in your pocket is going to be worth about as much as the toilet paper that people are stealing. Are stealing. Well, I don't say stealing, but basically taking from all these stores now. And I'm just telling y'all, the future is going to be very wild. Wait, this if you're around, if you're lucky to be around, the future is going to be very interesting in the next 10, 20 years from now. So I would say God bless. God loves you. You need to keep faith and keep strength within yourself. Love your fellow man. You don't have to love everything or accept everything about you. About them. And reality is, nobody's going to accept anything about you anyway. You have to prove it to yourself. Nobody's going to give you anything. You have to work for it most of the time. And life just isn't fair. You have to make life what it is for yourself. And I know it's an old saying, but you have to be the change you wish to see. But be careful what kind of change you wish to see. But anyway, I don't want to talk too long about this. I can spiel on, but I might make another video about this more in context in the future. But again, I'm just pointing this out that it's going to be big. The problems you're facing now are going to pale compared to what's to come in the near future. So have faith and God be with you.